Good morning. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, also known as BOOF. I am Sharene Watsen, and I am the celebrant this morning. Our minister, the Reverend Sarah Lawal, is on sabbatical to take time to rest, renew, and reflect. I want to extend a warm welcome to all of you in the sanctuary and say hello to all of you joining us on Zoom. If everyone could turn around and say hello to all our friends on Zoom. We're so glad that you're out there. Whether today is your first or 1,000th time in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. In the spirit of our mission to build beloved community centered around justice, equity, compassion, and interconnection, let us take a moment to acknowledge our gathering upon native land. I invite you to breathe and listen closely to the words and meditation offered.
We come from and live on land considered sacred by indigenous people known as Bannock, Paiute, Shoshone, and many other tribes that lived here sustainably for thousands of years. We strive to understand and reframe our responsibilities to land, to community. In the spirit of respectful reciprocity, we honor the original caretakers of this place. We affirm the relationships we have to each other, including our relations to animals and insects that inhabit the water, land, and sky. We recognize the relationship, the responsibility to quiet creeks, rushing rivers, rustling grasses, to sprawling forests, to the brilliant palettes of the sky, to the roots that grip the soil, to the earth beneath our feet. Water is life. To all of us affected by the boarding school revelations, may we be granted compassionate understanding. May we find healing in the harm that lives in our history. We honor and support the right to sovereignty for our indigenous neighbors. We acknowledge that a land acknowledgement is not enough. Now, let us breathe together. Let us take a moment to enjoy the delicious air, the oxygen provided by tree. Hold to the warm light of sun. Consider the solidity, the groundedness of earth. Flow with refreshing, life-giving water. Let the mud settle. Find clarity of mind and spirit. Welcome our ancestors. Enjoy this present moment together.
I want to take a moment to welcome those newcomers among us. We know it takes a lot of courage to check out a new community, and we're so glad you have joined us today. For the newcomers joining online, we invite you to introduce yourself in the chat so our community can warmly welcome you, and feel free to join the breakout rooms after the service for conversation. For those newcomers joining us in person, we hope you'll stick around after the service for fellowship and conversation. There's a link to the newcomer form in the chat online or on the QR codes on these bookmarks that are on your seat or on a seat nearby you, so we can keep you up to date with all that is happening in our fellowship. We have a lot happening, from book groups to adult classes to meditation to neighborhood pods, both in person and online. I do have a few announcements that I want to highlight for everyone. Our annual meeting is coming up on May 15th and will be held via Zoom at 11:45. The board is finishing up their final draft of our new bylaws and will be an information session, a Q&A today and next Sunday, May 8th, right after the service, also via Zoom. And voting for our plate partners for 2022 and 2023 program year begins on May 3rd and goes until May 24th. So watch your email for the survey to vote for our plate partners. It is our practice here at the fellowship to donate 25% of our unpledged plate offering to support our social justice ministries. For the month of May, our plate partner is Brown Like Me, and I would like to welcome Sherry Baber to tell us more about their organization.
Well, good morning. Wow, what an honor to be in your presence. I just felt so much calm and so much peace when I walked in here today, and that is such an honor because truly as a community, what we're doing right here this morning is what's gonna make us better, right? I love Idaho. I think Idaho is a great state and a great place to live. And so one of the things that we do is to come in and bridge the gap. And so I feel like today, by you being here and me being here, we're doing some of our work in bridging the gap. So thank you for being here and thank you for inviting me here. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Brown Like Me. Brown Like Me is my heart and soul right now. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background quickly, because I can talk about Brown Like Me all day. So if I get to 5 minutes, somebody raise their hand or something so I can shut up and sit down. Brown Like Me is a serious labor of love. I am a hairdresser by trade, and when I moved to Idaho, it's a real funny backstory. My brother got a scholarship to play for BSU right out of high school. He was a football star in the 70s, and he married a white woman, and they had 2 children. And my sister-in-law was like, hey, this hair thing, I don't got it. I need some help. I don't got it. And I said, well, just take them to the salon. They'll do it. She was like, there's no salon here that does your hair, ethnic hair. Nobody knows what they're doing here. And so I came kicking and screaming because I believed everything that I read about Idaho, right? So I was like, I'm not coming there. They hang real black people, you know? And my brother was like, ain't nobody hung me. I said, that's because you're not really black. See, you left during the temptation walk, and now you're doing the boot scooting booty. My brother rides horses. I was like, so they like you. They're not gonna like me. Anyway, I came, and when I came, what happened for me was I realized that there was a large number of people, white folks, who adopted black children. I didn't even know that existed. I was like, wow, okay. But in that, over the last 30 years, what I found is that a lot of the kids in the families, there was a disconnect because they were the only one in the family who looked like them. I think love is a wonderful thing, but do we need more than just love? Absolutely, absolutely. It takes more than just love. And so sitting in my chair, I had a 7-year-old who said to me, Miss Sherry, I'm going to a birthday party. And I said to her, birthday parties are fun. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to do your hair. And she said, Miss Sherry, I'm the only brown girl at all the birthday parties. And I said, that's okay, girl. That's because you're fabulous and you're wonderful and you're special and God made you unique. I'd always try to build them up when they were in my chair. In my salon is the one place that they could go where they weren't the only brown person. They weren't the only person with curly hair, you know? And so I always tried to make that experience super special for them. This 7-year-old turned around, her whole body, and looked me in my face, and she said, Miss Sherry, I'm the only brown girl at my own birthday party. And I thought about that, you know, over the weeks and months, and I thought, what an isolated feeling that must be. I imagine somebody dropping me off in China where nobody looked like me. I didn't speak the language. I didn't understand the culture or the food or rice with every meal, which is what my Oriental friend said. You got to have rice. If you're going to make my food, you got to make rice, Sherry. Okay. And so I put myself in that situation, and an epiphany came over me and said, you have a 4,000 client base. 43% of them are families that have adopted Black children. You can make a difference. I just wanted to have birthday parties, y'all. You know, we think like this, the creator thinks like this, right? I just wanted to have birthday parties so the kids could have other brown kids at their birthday party. That was my whole goal in starting Brown Like Me. It has grown into something so much more greater. Brown Like Me is a mentorship program that pairs Black adopted children with mentors who look like them. We tell our children, you gotta see it to be it, right? And so we bring in Black speakers. Senator Cherie Buckner-Webb has come and spoke. Dr. Ty Waters has come and spoke. We had the first Black beauty contestant winner. She came and spoke to our kids. Our rendition of IBM, the first Black woman, she actually lives here, that IBM hired. I had her come and speak. Hidden Figures. Our local Hidden Figures lady came and spoke to the children. And what we also do now, though, is we have created a community where parents have some support. Other parents that are raising Black children have someone that, you know, one family has a 15-year-old, the other family has a 7-year-old. Well, the 15-year-old's family has been through some things that they can help the 7-year-old's family get through. And so that's basically what Brown Like Me is. We teach the families the history and culture of African Americanism. And that helps them to be able to support their child in every way possible, even without them being Black. And it gives them a connection to the Black community. Our kids perform at Juneteenth, they perform at Soul Food Festival. We're performing at the Global Village this year. One of the other things that we do is we teach the kids about Kwanzaa, and we teach them, they learn all about slavery in school, right? And that's not a happy place to be. I know, because I raised my Black children here, and they come home after having to read To Kill a Mockingbird, where the N-word is used 1,000 times. And other kids would take that as an opportunity to use it, and it was painful. And so what we do is we celebrate Africa and America. We kind of leave out the Middle Passage. There's enough of that going on. So we talk to them about their heritage and how great it is to be an American. And we also take them on a historical Black college tour. And so raising the money to be able to do those things are super important and super important for the children and the families. My goal is for them to feel like they don't have to leave here to be supported as a Black person. That's my whole goal. All my kids grew up and moved. They came back, though. They did come back. And so my goal with Brown Like Me is to, us as a community, to build a bridge. I love Idaho. I don't have any bad stories about Idaho. Does racism exist? It sure does. But it exists everywhere. And so by what we're doing here this morning, you and I, we are building bridges to make Idaho the great state that we all know that it can be. I want to erase that whole northern Idaho thought process that I had when I got here. That wasn't true, right? I'm trying my best to help Idaho be that great state that I know we can be. So with your help and your generosity, I just want to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Hi, people online. You're invited to help too. Brown Like Me, there's some brochures on your seats. We also have a website. It's called brownlikeme.org. Feel free to go and read about what it is that we do. We have a Facebook page. It's Treasure Valley Brown Like Me. Go there. And then if you have any questions at all, would like more information, would like to come, we meet the second Saturday of every month. There's always something interesting going on. This in May, they're going to be learning traditional West African dance with a West African dance instructor. So if you have any questions, if you'd like to know more about Brown Like Me, feel free to reach out. My information is on the brochure. And again, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. There are many ways you can make a gift to our congregation and to our Plate Partner. You can visit our website at boiseuu.org and click Give in the upper right corner of the screen. For those in person, your handy little bookmarks, you can scan your QR codes, and that will take you right there. You can also drop your check in the lock boxes, which are located at either entrance, and you can also download the Vanco Giving app on your smartphone, and your checks by mail are also always welcome. Our spiritual theme for the month of May is Nurturing Beauty, and today's service explores the beauty of our earth and the importance of environmental ethics and justice to help preserve that beauty for our future generations. Our preacher today is the Rabbi Dan Fink from the congregation Ahavath Beth Israel here in Boise. We're so glad to have you here. Thank you so much. As we enter this time of worship, let us take a moment to breathe together. Fill your body with breath, knowing that our breath connects us to one another, to our bodies, and to our planet. Our breath offers us the opportunity for stillness, to tune in to our spiritual center, to listen deeply to our heart's own longing. Today, I invite you to invoke thoughts about nurturing the beauty of the earth when you hear the thines and thous. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-driven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep, to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp where my feet shall tread. Thy way is steep, past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the deathless dream. Each week, we light our flaming chalice, a symbol of our free faith, a beacon of hope, love, and justice. We join in this lighting in solidarity with other Unitarian Universalists lighting chalices today in churches and in virtual worship spaces, reminding us that we are connected to one another and to a larger community of faith and love. As we light the chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite the virtual community to light your chalice if you have one nearby with us, and then share in the chat where you have lit your chalice this morning. With our collective chalices lit in all our spaces, we offer you this call to worship from Susan McGinn, Call from Beyond. From beyond the playful summer clouds, beyond the earth's thin blue line, from beyond the bright moon and meteor showers, we hear the call to look and listen carefully, to turn away from a world that buys and sells happiness, to fully experience the whisper of your heart's truth. Why not today? Why not now? We are here and together at home in this evolving place, home in this ever-changing breath and body, home in this dewy morning, even as it reaches toward a hot, high noon. We hear the call from far beyond and deep within, and we do not hear it alone. Let us heed that call and nurture and preserve our beautiful earth. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning, everyone. Let's get cozy for our Time for All Ages this morning. This month, for May, we are exploring nurturing beauty. And today, I want to talk about the way we honor and take in the beauty that's all around us. The way our senses, our sight, our smell, our touch, etc., help us connect with the beauty all around us. Our sixth source asks us to find wisdom in our connection to nature and the web of life. Nature is full of interesting changes and patterns, the cycles of the seasons, the growing patterns of branching trees and rivers and veins in our bodies, the shifting, swirling clouds above us. We use our attention to notice and appreciate these and so much more. Our story this morning is Sky Tree by Thomas Locker and Candace Christensen. It's going to help us explore how we can bring our attention to change and to beauty and to nature. As our chalice lighting says, we are here and together at home in this evolving place. So let's celebrate that. Sky Tree. Once a tree stood alone on a hill by the river. You can see it in the foreground, or in the background. Through the long days, its leaves fluttered in the soft summer breeze. And our book comes with its own wondering questions. When you look at this painting of the tree on a hill, can you remember how you feel on a perfect summer day? As we go, think about what details you see, what stands out to you in these pictures. But then the days grew shorter and the nights longer. The winds became cold and the tree began to change. This is the same tree, same place. What do you notice is different? Autumn came. The leaves of the tree turned gold, orange, and red. Squirrels hurried to store nuts and acorns all around it. The sun rose later each day. One morning, light glistened on a thin silver frost. By the end of the day, many leaves began to fall. First one, then another. I wonder, is the tree dying? How does this picture make you feel to see these big changes? On a gray day, an old snapping turtle buried herself in the river mud, where she would sleep until spring. The tree's bare branches reached toward the sky. The clouds opened for a moment. The sky filled the branches. Is there anything about this picture that is strange to you? On a misty morning, a flock of birds landed where the tree's leaves had been. The birds chirped, squabbled, and sang, but suddenly their wings beat the air and they flew away. Clouds gathered and filled the tree's empty branches and then drifted away. What does this painting show about how the water and the air, the clouds, change the way that we see things? Have you ever noticed the way that clouds change the world underneath them? Ice formed on the river's edge. You can see that here. With the roots buried deep in the earth. The tree stood ready for winter. Snows fell. Snug in their nest, a family of squirrels huddled close through the cold winter days. I wonder if you can imagine the stillness of a snowy day. At night, millions of stars twinkled among the branches of the tree. Beneath the river ice, the old snapping turtle slept. The world was waiting for spring. Does this painting make you feel small? Late one afternoon, a golden light streamed through the clouds and warmed the tree. The ice on the river began to melt, and the snow disappeared into the ground. How does this painting show that winter is ending? The smell of wet earth filled the air. Squirrels raced through the fresh grass and up the tree. Sap rose to the tree's tight buds. I wonder if this painting makes you feel hopeful. And why that is. The old snapper crawled out of the mud to lay her eggs on the warm hillside. We can see her at the bottom of the tree. The tree's leaves uncurled in the spring sunlight, and the birds returned to build nests for their young. The tree stood on the hill by the river. Once again, its leaves fluttered in the soft summer breeze. I wonder, what changes did you notice through the tree, in the tree, through the seasons? I wonder, what is your favorite way to connect to nature? By sight, by watching as nature changes? Smell, by sound? What is your favorite way to connect? How can you practice noticing nature's beauty today? What can you do to go put yourself in the path of nature? Join me now in blessing our beloved community with song. Together we learn, grow, and live out our values. Thank you.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
Each week, we take time to acknowledge the many joys and sorrows and grieve our losses, so that we might lift that burden for each other and receive the blessing of this community. A reminder that you can submit your joys and sorrows via the link on our website, and your bookmark QR code will take you right there. I invite those of you on Zoom to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. It is through our sharing with one another that we forge deep bonds of community and connection. As we begin, please hold Marcy Packer and Aaron Moore, who both have been navigating some challenging experiences recently. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to speak their name aloud into this community of love, that we may hold them with you. May the arms of this community hold all our joys and sorrows, those named and those that remain silent close to our hearts. May we feel the grace that surrounds us and be transformed by the spirit of life and love, with warmth to celebrate our joys and with gentleness to soothe our aching hearts.
Prayer by Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. Grant me the ability to be alone. May it be my custom to go outdoors each day among the trees and grasses, among all growing things. And there may I be alone and enter into prayer to talk with the one to whom I belong. May I express there everything in my heart. May all the foliage of the field, the grasses, the trees, the plants, awake at my coming to send the powers of their life into the words of my prayer, so that my prayer and my speech are made whole through the life and spirit of all growing things, which are made as one by their transcendent source. May I then pour out the words of my heart before your presence like water, O God, and lift up my hands to you in worship on my behalf and that of my children.
You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew, you never knew. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or asked the grinning bobcat why he grins? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountains? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Come run the hidden pine trails of the forest. Come taste the sun-sweet berries of the earth. Come roll in all the riches all around us. And for once, never wonder what they're worth. The rainstorm and the rivers are my brothers. The heron and the otter are our friends. And we are all connected to each other in a circle, in a hoop that never ends. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or let the eagle tell you where he's been? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? How high does the sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know. And you'll never hear the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, for whether we are white or copper-skinned, we need to sing with all the voices of the mountain, need to paint with all the colors of the wind. You can own the earth until all you'll own is earth, until you can paint with all the colors of the wind.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and that is a very hard act to follow. We are, each and all of us, the stories that we tell ourselves. who we are as individuals and as communities, is largely shaped by the narratives we tell to explain the world we inhabit. So this morning, as we talk about nurturing beauty, about environmental justice, I would like to begin in the beginning, Bereshit, with the Torah's story of creation, for it undergirds the way we interact with the rest of the world around us. The way we choose to understand and interpret that story carries existential consequences. So I'll begin with what my people like, which is a classic Jewish argument. Back in the 9th century, one of the leading sages of the time, Rav Sadia Gaon, looked at that story and he said, humanity is the crown of creation. He says, by this story, we're given dominion over the earth. The world is created ultimately for the sake of human beings. 3 centuries later, another Jewish philosopher, Moses Maimonides, took issue. He said that in the creation story, if you look carefully, you'll see that every day after each thing that God makes, God saw that it was good. Not good for people, good on its own. And if you want to understand, if you think like Sadia, says Maimonides, that everything is created for us, he says, go outside at night and look up. Consider the vast dimensions of the cosmos. And he had no idea how vast it was. Consider the enormous diversity of living things, he said. And then, if you see that, how can you possibly believe that everything was created for the sake of humankind? Everything, he says, is created for its own sake and not for ours. And so this debate has continued for 800 years in my Jewish tradition, and it continues too in the wider culture, Western traditions, indigenous traditions. What is our place in the scheme of things? And how does that place compel us to live? If we look at the world like Sadia, the universe is created to meet our needs, and we have permission, therefore, to use it however we see fit. We are the earth's overlords. Whereas for Maimonides, and in the view of most indigenous stories, we are among countless residents of flora and fauna that share a common home. Again, these two perspectives and places in between exist in many times and in many places. But Western culture has long been dominated by the position I've described as Sadia's, that human beings are at the center of things. And that understanding undergirded the scientific revolution that has changed our lives in many ways we should recognize for the better. It's given us modern medicine, technology, architecture, transportation. It's enabled us to feed a world of over 7 billion people. Approaching the creation as a kind of toolbox, we have engineered the extraordinary comforts that define the developed world. That story has served a purpose for centuries. But many of us believe its time has passed. Because with the proliferation of technologies insatiably dependent upon fossil fuels, any constraints that once tempered that anthropocentric worldview have fallen away. We're left increasingly, when we think of the world with us at the center, with the toxic wreckage of an unsustainable culture. The old human-centered story is destroying life on Earth. And so we need a new story. Or perhaps, looking back to Maimonides and again countless indigenous stories, an old but revivified one, grounded in modesty, in interdependence, and in justice. We need a new story because the old one is arrogant and archaic. We know now that the world is 4.6 billion years old. The lifetime of human beings in that scheme is literally the blink of an eye. To think that the world was created for us, we, the newest of newcomers, is absurd. We need a new story because the old one is spiritually impoverished. New discoveries confirm that everything, humans, plants, animals, oceans, rivers, rocks, mountains, we are all connected. The flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil triggers a tornado in Texas. Forests are conscious, living entities. Trees speak with one another through networks of fungi beneath the ground. When utility, thinking what use is this to us, replaces awe, the magnificence, the complexity of the creation, spirituality cannot endure. Our wisdom traditions will die if we don't see ourselves as part of something greater rather than apart from it. And we need a new story because the old one perpetuates devastating injustice and deep despair. Among the many, many tragedies of human-fueled catastrophic climate change, one of the most appalling is that its burdens, drought and flooding, hunger, thirst, dislocation, fire, disruption, war, these are borne disproportionately by those who are least responsible for them. The world's poorest communities endure the brunt of the pain inflicted by the industrialized world, where the overwhelming preponderance of greenhouse gases are produced. By 2050, catastrophic climate change could displace as many as 145 million people from Africa, South Asia, Latin America. Where will they go? Will privileged nations awash in nativist bigotry open their gates, open our gates? In the current story, the poor suffer again and again the sins of the reckless rich. And so, we seek a new old story. Because when the purpose of creation is all about us, we feel entitled. But when we are not at the center of everything, when we are part of a web, we recognize we have responsibility to the other and to all of creation. This story, this new story, which is an old story, it isn't liberal or conservative, it isn't sacred or secular. It's a transformative tale for people of all faiths and of none, for young and old, for rural and urban. A celebratory story that belongs to everyone whose heart has not been irredeemably hardened by avarice and power. It's a story for all the earth, for each and every one of us. And our challenge is to tell and retell and live this story wherever and whenever we can. To see ourselves as part of something bigger and treat the world around us accordingly. For those of us who are rooted in religious traditions, to see the world in its complexity as vessels and messengers and expressions of the Holy One. And to act accordingly. There are countless possibilities, of course, for acting in a way that creates a more sustainable society. Some are relatively simple, many complex and challenging. We won't get there overnight. But we must begin. For as one of my tradition sages, Rabbi Tarfon, taught, it is not incumbent upon you to finish the task. The main thing is to start and to stick with it. Because to heal our planet, to create a more sustainable society, is in the end also to heal ourselves. An individual action is essential, but it is not sufficient. As activist Bill McKibben notes, whatever our intentions, we're each of us currently locked into a system of burning a fair amount of fossil fuel. If there's no train that goes to your destination, you can't take it. We cannot avert climate catastrophe without radically changing the ways that we collectively build, fuel, feed, transport, and educate ourselves. We need far-sighted local, state, and federal governments willing to push back against fossil fuel conglomerates, Wall Street firms that empower them, and lawmakers they have bought off with their billions. If we truly seek a sustainable world for our descendants and for all of the Holy One's creation, we have to make our voices heard publicly in demonstrations and at the ballot box. Because success is only possible when we, the citizens, pressure local businesses, utilities, and schools to get on board. Our youth are leading the way. They remind us that there is hope if we act now. Our challenge is to listen to them, to stand with them and support them in doing the work that is at the heart of their generation, and therefore should be at the heart of ours as well. There are no single solutions. We need to work together. But let us remember, wherever and whenever we are working, that to let the world slip away is a failure of reverence and a sin against creation. All of us, rooted in faith traditions, recognize the power of renewal, of reorientation, of our ability to change course. In my Jewish tradition, we call this teshuvah. It's a word usually translated as repentance, but what it really means is turning or returning to a path of healing when we have gone astray. To embrace the possibility of teshuvah, of change, is to proclaim the triumph of faith over fear and hope over habit. To affirm that despite everything, real change is possible, that we can always turn over a new page, that we can always tell a new story. An old tale from my tradition tells of a Roman centurion who toyed with the life of one of the rabbis 2,000 years ago. The Roman approached the rabbi with a closed fist and he said, "I am holding in my hand a small bird. And I need you to tell me now, is the bird that I hold in my hand alive or dead? If you can answer the question correctly, I will spare your life. But if you answer the question wrong, I will slay you." Now the rabbi knew it was a trick. Because if he said the bird is alive, the soldier would simply apply pressure and break the neck of the bird in his hand. And if he said the bird was dead, he would simply open his fingers and let the bird fly out. And so he paused for a long moment. "Decide," ordered the Roman, "now." So the rabbi looked up at the centurion and he said, "Sir, the answer lies in your hands." And so it is for us. The answer lies in our hands, each of our hands and our collective hands as well. May we use those hands to write and teach and tell a new story, a story that honors the Holy One by honoring all of the Holy One's creations. Amen.
Let us take a moment to again breathe together. Fill your body with breath and breathe into this sacred space. Breathe with this beloved community filled with loving kindness. Breathe with wholeheartedness as we listen to our prayer today.
Spirit of life and love, holy mystery. The threshold of our earth calls to us, singing a song of hope, a song of peace, a song for our collective future, for all beings, for life itself. O Earth, our mother, father, protector, and sustainer. Turn our despair into delight, our delight into determination, to find a path through the chaos, through the fear, through the darkness, that we might move toward possibility, toward creativity, to do all we can to save you, to save us from ourselves. O Earth, O Teacher who has cleared the way that all life might thrive, may we find comfort in your beauty, May we breathe in your nourishment, welcome your strength and fortitude, knowing our lives depend on yours. May we feel our own rootedness, seeking the quiet stillness to hear the wisdom of our ancestors. May we feel and be sustained by your embrace, and listen to the whispers of life calling to life. We have a long way to go yet, more thresholds to cross, more uncertainty to bear. May we keep on moving forward, knowing the path in front of us will lead to great change. May we stay open and willing, knowing that we bring the commitment of this community with us, filled with the gratitude for all that is our life and all that we can be together. In the spirit of all that is holy, we pray. Amen.
Friends, I invite you to place your hands over your heart for our closing blessing, which will be followed by our closing song on video. This is Cooperation for Creativity, Human Creativity by Denise Colley. Love our earth. Take action to consume less. Use less energy. Respect water. And be cooperative, collaborative, and creative community like the moss and the mushrooms. Our children's lives depend on us. Blessed are we and all the creatures of the earth. Go in peace. Friends, the coffee room is open, so feel free to go grab a cup of coffee.